In this movie, let's begin looking at user management. We know what types of users we can have, so let's take a look at how those users can be created. First off, a user can create an account within your Joomla site. If you allow that, they'll come up with their username, registration, verifying their password, etc. Now, when they create their own account, it's going to send them an email to their email address, and they have to activate that. If you don't want them to have an account, all you have to do is go to your administrative side and you can select the account and you can just delete it if you want to. The other thing you can do is we can edit that account. Say Joe Schmo created himself an account, he's already got his username, password, email, everything he's got, but we want to make him an author. We can just go right in there, select his user account and change it. Very easy. You also have another option in there. If you look and see a user who's causing a problem, you can block them. So instead of deleting, you can just block them so they don't sign up again and again. So those are a couple options right there if the user creates their own account. Now you can create the accounts for the users. I'm going to go to the back end of my remote site. You'll see I've got an administrator, that super administrator. That's my account because I created the site. I'm going to create a new one. Right here is where I will create an author. I can decide whether or not they need to get system emails in case I need to send out a system-wide set of information. And then I'm going to go ahead and save that. So there I've got the author. At any time I can select that user and go in here and edit the information. If I need to change the language editor, maybe he needs the TinyMCE editor, etc. So then that person can log into my site and edit. So it tells me I've successfully saved that. Let's make another one. This time we'll call it the editor. And same thing, we want it to be able to edit. Now an author can write articles to be submitted, whereas an editor can take a previously made article and actually edit that if they want to. So let's give it the TinyMCE editor, apply that one. So I've got an author for a front-end user and we have an editor for a front-end user. So let's add us a publisher. The reason you want to go in and add the different types is so you can kind of log in and see their differences. And I'm going to save that. So we've got our 3 front-end users. They can log in on our form and edit the files. Now the back end. We already have a super administrator, the person who created the site, but we don't have a manager yet, so let's create a manager. The one thing you do need to remember on this is the more rights you give somebody, the more they could mess things up. So you really want to make sure you want them to be able to log into this back end and make changes. Okay, let's do one more. Let's make a back-end administrator. Now when you make these back-end users, or even if you make a front-end user, back here in your administrative side, they don't get an email that says you have to click here in order to activate this. They can automatically utilize it. Okay, now the manager can work with anything that deals with content. So they're going to look at writing articles, editing them, publishing them. They can't mess with users. They can't mess with modules and components, thank goodness. Administrators, they can manage users. They can manage everybody. This specific administrator right here cannot manage the super administrator. That's the only thing that they cannot manage on the users. but they can enable, disable user accounts, install and uninstall modules, whatever they need to do. Now, the one thing you have to make sure is that you always have one super administrator. So you can change it, but make sure you don't lose that super administrator. So take a minute, go to your site, and add these different users. Just put in some test ones if you're not ready for that yet. And then as we go on, we're going to add that login option so that way you can log in as a publisher, a manager, see what it's like.